Freaking out, man. You can't handle the truth. You can't handle the truth.
What do all men in power want? More power.
My name is Gianluca Zanna. I was an Italian by birth, and I became an American by choice. Our lives and freedoms are in danger. This is not a drill. If you're listening to this broadcasting, you are the resistance.
All systems go.
Welcome to Love, Guns, and Freedom. Here we go, guys and girls. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna on K-Talks 1340 AM and all United States.FM network. If I sound a little bit like The Godfather, my voice is horrible, or maybe, I don't know, just weird. Well, I've been kind of under the weather in every sense. The last week has been rough, and not just for me. I'm telling you, I'm pretty lucky. I heard people that they had to go to the hospital. A lot of people. This is, for me, it's kind of a very unusual flu season. There was an article on the Kingma Daily Miner that says, did you take your flu shot? Oh, there is always time for a flu shot. You know what? There's always time to be a moron, in my opinion. And I'm not a doctor, but I tell you something. If you read the ingredients, what you get in that flu shot, I tell you, I wouldn't give that to my dog. Not even to a coyote, seriously. But, as I said, this is my humble opinion. Go to talk to your doctor that probably got paid off by some big pharma. But that's not even just another opinion, of course. Anyway, regardless, guys, we are under attack. Chemical attack, that's a fact. Every day. The last 3 weeks at least, we've been pounded by airplanes over and over and over. And you know what? You can say that we are crazy or I'm crazy, speaking for myself. Guess what? There is no justification for any type of a commercial airline out there to completely out of the blue to transform our blue sky over Arizona in a complete fog. We've been fogged like roaches. That's the fact. Now, if people still believe that government would never do that, at least I'm not going to waste too much of my time. Seriously, I have other things today I'm going to bring into the show. But the idea is just go to see how many declassified experiments they've been doing on civilians and military people without their consent. And that's what they got caught, these bastards. So the fact that they playing with the weather or doing weather modification, and of course to do that they need to use at least chemicals like barium, salt of barium and aluminum and other things, and silver iodide. I mean, guys, this is serious stuff, okay? Don't forget, especially if you live in Mojave County, you think we're a bunch of crazy. There are some people left over called the Mojave County downwinders. They're all pretty much dead right now because they were pretty much all cancer created by radiation of the U.S. government playing up there north in the area of Nevada. People say, oh, you don't like our government? No, I like America. I never took an oath to defend a corrupted government. Unfortunately, government is made by good people and bad people. And when they are corrupted, and especially they are messing up with our lives, we need to stand up and not being afraid to say what we think is true, okay? Because these bastards, they hide behind our flag and they try to pretty much manipulate patriotism with servilism or, to be a sheep, okay? We are not sheep here. We love our country, but doesn't mean that we need to love these bastards in government. Now, this is just my humble opinion. Now, very important thing. I've been following the bandit situation since the beginning. I was there as a reporter. I'm amazed I didn't get arrested because I know other reporters like Pete Santilli, just to be there, got arrested. And of course, all this continued with the Oregon standoff. There was not really any standoff. I mean, there was just a peaceful occupation of, in my opinion, of what's supposed to be a public land. But that's my opinion. Now, I had on my show several times an activist, a man that I respect for his activism, for his service, but also for his oath that he fulfilled even after his service was already over. Okay? When you are a soldier and you take an oath to defend our Constitution, it doesn't expire after your service is over, after you're dismissed. No, it continues. And should be for me to every American man and woman, regardless if you've never been in service or not. Anyway, his name is Jon Ritzheimer. And, unfortunately, he had to go through a lot of hard time when he went up there to Oregon. And, of course, they got arrested. He got arrested like they all got arrested. Now, he's back into the scene. He's going to court and originally pleaded guilty. and now he's trying to go back to his position. And but more important, let him have him on the show because he has so much good information. I would like to hear directly from his ear, from his mouth. Okay, Jon, are you there?
Hey, I'm here, Luca.
Very good, man. Last time we talked, you were still, going up there. And then I was following your news when you were in Oregon. And then, of course, I follow you the rest of the news when you have to pretty much turn yourself in. Am I right?
Yep, I turned myself in peacefully. I didn't give them the response that they expected, I'm sure. I'm sure they wanted another standoff down here at my house, but I wasn't going to do that with my family.
Yeah. Listen, I know you. I never met you in person, but I know pretty much many of you. And, one thing really irritates the hell out of me, how they're trying to set us up. Because this is honestly one of the things why I really want to bring you up here. If I knew in a little bit of my head that you or any one of you, they had some very bad streak on you, I would say, you know what, I'm the first one to try to infiltrate. But I know pretty much almost all of you. And the only people that they were violent in this movement, they'd be the infiltrators. That's what really, and the media, of course, they tried to completely load it up. That's the story. And go ahead.
They had to, they got to justify their job. They had to demonize us. And then, of course, you got the informants in there that are also trying to get a paycheck. And they are feeding, these juicy lies to the FBI and trying to get their paycheck. So, and that's all we were to all of them is just a payday.
Now, let's go before we go to the infiltrators, because my job here as the media, I would like to know the names. And more important, of course, we don't have a TV. We cannot show the faces, but I'm sure many of these people, they're still our Facebook friends. And I found outstanding when I found out that among the people that were at Burns there in Oregon at the refuge, many of them, at least almost most of them, they were infiltrators according to the articles I was reading. But let's start first of all with you. Tell me what exactly, how did you go there the last few days you were there at Burns at the refuge? What was going on there?
So I had missed Christmas with my family. I had driven up about on December 19th, and I missed Christmas with my family, New Year's and everything, and I spent a good solid month up there, and so I just felt that it was probably, I talked to a lot of the guys, and things kind of seemed calm. We did see, the FBI build up and everything, but we knew, or we just didn't think anything would go down the way that it went down. I had my wife, and she's raising these kids down here by herself, and so I just told the guys, hey, I'm going to head back down to Arizona for a little bit, see my family and help out, and make sure my family's taken care of, and then if things are still going on, whether it's 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, whatever, whenever I can get back up here, I will get back up here. And but I told them, I said, but if you feel that I need to stay here, then I'll stay. And they all agreed. Everybody was just like, you know what? Yeah, absolutely. Get home, see your family. And even Ammon Bundy, and even LaVoy Finicum, a lot of these guys were able to, on the weekends, sometimes they would leave all the way back home. Ammon Bundy even went all the way back to Idaho at some point during the occupation.
Wow. And
a lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
But we would kind of just take breaks. And so I had to come home and take care of my family,
And I'm sure, they knew that, the federal government covering this event, let's put it this way, the agents.
Okay, so,
what do you think?
that's where things get interesting, is I only told, the Bundy brothers, Ammon wasn't even there when I left. And so only like Ryan Bundy, Ryan Payne, and Jason Patrick were really the ones that knew that I left Arizona. So as I left the refuge, as I'm driving out and leaving the refuge, I drive past Mark McConnell, and he's in his Jeep. And at this time, we don't know that he's a federal informant.
Yeah.
So I pull over, he turns around and comes over, and, we start chatting, and I'm like, yeah, I'm heading home. I don't know, I'll be home for a week or a month or whatever. I just got to take care of some things at home. And so that's how the government knew they all viewed me as this psychopath. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall.
Yeah.
While these guys were getting while they were getting their briefings on us. And I can only imagine just some briefing room, and they put a picture of Jon Ritzheimer on the wall. This guy is he's a combat veteran. He's a Marine, and he's crazy, and so they knew I was out of the picture. Yeah. And I'm not going to say that's why they chose to attack then, but I'm sure it definitely helped their decision making of, hey, we have an opportunity to get an ambush going here.
Yeah, Rambo is gone. Let's go for it. I can see their mindset myself. I may be wrong, but I tell you, unfortunately, I see how they're thinking. Now, I want to start to be clear here, okay? Everybody that I'm going to mention here on this show, that you say that they are informant, I would like to have them on the show. This is not just one-way conversation. If you do not want to come, that's your problem. Okay, I would like to hear your side of the story. I'm sure you have a side of the story. And I already called off, what really, maybe you have no idea, John, but there is another informer that probably you're familiar with, the original, Swiss man, how they call him, Fabio Minoggio.
Yep.
Killman, okay? I mean, I know Fabio probably since the last 7 years, talking about the deep, heavy undercover infiltration. He approached me when I probably was just almost 2 years after I was in Arizona, but that's another story. We'll go there. So everybody's welcome to come here because, first of all, you think you've done something right. Let's hear your story. You're naming people now that they are officially, according to facts, not just opinion anymore. Correct me if I'm wrong. They are infiltrators. Is right?
Yes, and so there's 3 people that have been publicly, 3 people that have officially been outed by the government, and that was Mark McConnell, Fabio, and Terry Linnell.
Mm-hmm.
So Terry Linnell by choice, Fabio, just the luck of the draw, they caught him,
mm-hmm.
and then Mark McConnell was outed by the law enforcement giving testimony. So, and people are saying, oh, well, that's just hearsay because it's a cop saying it. But they don't understand when you're in trial, if that cop was lying and said something untrue, then the government would have objected and they would have had to have corrected the record. They would have had to have said, no, Mark McConnell was not an informant. No, Mark McConnell is not the man that got the $25,000 that he said he got. So it's pure fact at that point. It is.
How much
the government?
How much did you get paid, Mr. Mark McConnell?
The cop said he saw 2 disbursements, one for $25,000 and one for $10,000. He's not sure if Mark McConnell got both of them.
Wow.
But
and exactly what was his role when he was around you? He was there, right? Exactly. Since the beginning.
He kind of relieved me. When I was leaving, Ryan Payne had called him to come there and help with any kind of security measures and stuff. So he was acting as Ammon Bundy's bodyguard during that time, and he just full on drove him into the mouth of the beast. They when they left, Mark McConnell's the one that set up the ambush. He kept everybody together. Ammon Bundy, Ryan Payne, LaVoy Finicum, and myself. We were going to these towns and giving a speech on the Constitution, and everybody would go up there and talk for about 45 minutes to an hour. And Ammon Bundy was the one that would be the last one to talk. So there was no reason for Ammon to go up to John Day 4 or 5 hours earlier when, there was already LaVoy Finicum, Ryan Payne, and Ryan Bundy scheduled to talk for 3 hours prior to him. And so that's why LaVoy and them were going to leave much earlier. But Mark McConnell was insisting, no, we need to stay together. Let's stay together and we'll leave with them, and telling people, don't bring guns on this one. We don't need to bring guns there and stuff. Let's just look more calm and peaceful. We don't need to bring guns to this. So Mark McConnell set up the whole thing to convoy out of there together. Otherwise, it probably would have just been LaVoy's truck that headed out. But Mark McConnell helped gather all the so-called leaders, and yes, 7 have been acquitted.
What is his background, if you cannot tell me, whatever you know about him? He's a military guy?
Yeah, he's supposed to be a Marine. And so we see 3 Marines that are I'm just sick to my stomach now that have been outed as Marines. Gary Hunt, writing and publishing all of the Burns Chronicles, somehow I guess he's got a leak or something. He's got a source, and he's been publishing information that even I don't have in the discovery. He's got, apparently he's got records that may be unredacted. And so right now we're able to publish and call out these informants because all of our discovery in the case is under seal, but the informant reports are redacted so that the identities are hidden. So I'm allowed to talk about the identity because, according to the discovery, I supposedly don't really know that, they haven't officially disclosed the identity of these individuals. I can just read through the reports and be able to recognize, okay, this is clearly this guy, and now I'm able to say, I'm not releasing the information. I'm able to just say, for a fact, with certainty, this guy is an informant.
Okay.
And we got 3 Marines, Mark McConnell, Alan Varner, and Will Coleman now. They were all Marines.
And they were all up there?
Yes.
Telling
me Semper Fi, always faithful.
Wow. You know what is very amazing?
While reporting on it.
Very amazing, this one. The reality is that most of the people that I know, beside you, okay? I mean, Aaron, Ammon, they're a bunch of farmers, okay? They're really regular folks. Even LaVoy, he's a great guy, but look at LaVoy. LaVoy was the most probably, I don't know, naive almost, okay? The guy, I interviewed him on Mojave County just a few months before all this happened. He was almost so polite. When I was doing an interview, I had to refrain myself because I didn't want to shock him. My language. The guy was super cool, okay? And now you have the government, what they were doing, they were completely filling up that environment with all the people that they want to look like, let's say, and I'm not even wrong with that. I think we are human beings, we're Americans, we should be proud of our rights like the Second Amendment. But the point is, most of these guys that were there, they were just a regular farmer, Joe, okay? And they filled up among you, they surrounded you with all these guys that looks like almost out of the Rambo movie, okay? And they were trying to make you look like, oh my God, look at these guys. I'm right now in front of Mark McConnell Facebook face, and I'm looking at him. He seems like perfectly fitting the part. The patriot, he loves guns, looks pretty decent, athletic guy. So, and this is exactly what the media love, the right-wing extremists, with the gun owners and ready to squeeze the trigger every time they doesn't like something. And that's, of course, we don't do that. But the point is, most of these elements were infiltrators. That's ridiculous. That's something that hopefully the court, the jury, should understand. You've been set up. And this is, of course, my humble opinion from outside, the way I look at this. Now, I see, for example, Mark McConnell, Facebook. I'm not his friend, and I'm going to ask him to be a friend, by the way, right now, just because I will tag him on this interview. I see there are a lot of friends that I have in common, and I'm not mentioning names because they are regular people. I don't know if they are aware of Mark McConnell, what it was about, and I would like to know, I'm going to call these friends, hey, by the way, do you know about what's going on with him? Because I'm curious, I don't think everybody knows about this individual, honestly, and like the other one.
Well, they don't, because when I got out on pretrial release, I've been listening to my attorney and trying to play it cool because I don't want to sit there and say anything that's going to later be used against me, and it all will. But I've been kind of just laying low, so I've been quiet. Meanwhile, Mr. McConnell's been back here in Arizona. He was already back. He's more than just an informant. He's actually like a provocateur.
Yeah.
It's like divide and conquer. So the government sees the Patriot movement as the greatest threat to the system. We're the awake ones. So they've got to go in there and spread division and chaos. So he's immediately back here in Arizona. He's got this whole clique of people that don't think that he's an informant, and some people that even think that he's an informant, but they support him because they for whatever reason, think that we were wrong up there in Oregon or something. I don't know. It's a bunch of armchair,
Okay, let's talk facts. Let's talk facts. So far, you want to go about the system, okay, the judicial system. The court of law found all the defendants up there not guilty. I mean,
right.
Am I right or wrong?
12 people said not guilty. It's not a hung jury. It's not that one person was a holdout. They were getting ready to have a holdout, which used to be a former BLM employee. Wow. Thankfully, we had a competent juror, juror number 4, former Navy veteran, that said, okay, he passed a note to the judge saying, can this person still be considered an impartial juror when he is a former BLM employee?
Wow.
And his opening statement during the jury deliberations is, I'm not going to lie, guys, I have a lot of bias here.
Wow.
It would have been a hung jury if it wasn't for juror number 4 getting that guy, that federal, government tit person out of the jury pool, who never should have been there to begin with.
Exactly. This is I think it was, people may not believe in God or not, but regardless, there was some, you want to call it luck, I don't know. There was something that worked out the way it's supposed to, but sometimes doesn't happen. Seriously. Because
divine providence.
I believe that because the point is, government, can set up judges, and they control judges. They can control pretty much, they have infinite resources. I mean, guys, you're going around with probably some public defenders and maybe some, lawyers that in good faith is trying to help you, but the government has all the money they want. It's our money after all. So I tell you, the fact that that was the first huge victory. And now that's exactly my point. All these infiltrators that they thought that they were somehow fighting some extremist, violent, dangerous elements of society, and I'm being sarcastic here. I mean, now they must realize all they were doing, they chose the wrong side. Because you at this point, not yet, but all the other defendants, they were innocents. That's a fact. Okay, according to the court of law. Though that's very important. We must understand that. And, maybe I would say, on the personal note, there are things that I would have done differently. I went on the show pretty much after all that happened. Even I knew that you were exercising your rights, but I also knew that strategically for me was not the right thing to do, was my opinion, but doesn't matter. The point, you didn't endanger anybody. You didn't harm anybody. Seriously, the point is you were just expressing yourself, what's supposed to be public land, our land, okay? And you didn't burn building, you didn't pillage, you didn't rape, you didn't, damage things. You were there peacefully making a point. I would have done that.
Yep, we called for a peaceful resolution every time, every day. It just, myself and Ryan Payne, we would drive out into town at night, and we would go right up to their barricades, and we would just make small talk with some of the sheriff deputies that were out on post.
Yeah.
It was totally militarized up there.
Yeah.
And we'd break out a constitution and just talk with these guys, come on, this thing's written at the 8th grade reading level for us to be able to interpret the people. You should be standing shoulder to shoulder with us. There's tyranny happening here.
Yeah.
And so...
No, this is very sad, and I feel sorry, of course, so much, for people that like LaVoy that never had a chance to even face a jury and a trial. Because the point is, there was an ambush from outside the way we look at this from the video that was released. And by the way, I don't think that video was an accident. What do you think? That was a complete warning, because that was very scary what we saw in that video. For me, it was an execution. What do you think about that?
Well, I think that it was very poor communication between the FBI and the local authorities, because we know that they would have covered each other's backs and covered up for each other. But now the FBI is under investigation because there's, if we got 10 bullet holes in the truck and we only got 5 bullet casings, somebody else fired some shots, and the FBI now is under investigation for this HRT team. And for those of you that don't know, that's hostage rescue team. They they were firing at LaVoy right when he stepped out of the truck and his hands up. Boom, shot goes in, and I believe that bullet is still lodged in Ryan Bundy's arm, went into his shoulder and down into his arm. And so it was just poor communication. They definitely would have all investigated themselves and found themselves of no wrongdoing. But thankfully, we've got evidence now that this was a wrongful death. And at what point, let me ask that to all your listeners out there, people, just think about it. Whether the person has a badge on them or it's just some thug or anybody, your life is important. So if somebody is shooting at you and your hands are up, at what point are you allowed to defend yourself? And I'm not saying Mr. Finicum reached for a gun. I'm just saying he was already being shot at while he was driving. He was being shot at the second he stepped out of the vehicle with his hands in the air, and then he's continuing to walk down through the snowbank and being shot at. At what point is a man allowed to defend himself? That's the reality of it.
Listen,
he was murdered.
I agree with you, and I tell you something. Even if it wasn't reaching for the gun, I tell you, I challenge anybody else to have the human reflexes. When somebody's throwing rocks at you, forget about shooting. Let's say somebody is throwing a rock at your chest. Your first instinct is to reach whatever hurts. Okay, so the point is, how can you keep your hands up when somebody's already shooting at you? I mean, it's ridiculous. Your body, it must.
They shot him in the back.
I mean,
that's why his hands came down, because he was shot in the back, and so his hands came down to his side where he was shot, and then it gives that gives them another. Oh well, he's reaching. Here's a few more bullets into him. And I've been to war. I know the fog of war, the chaos, and so I also have a firm belief that those FBI agents that they were missing on purpose. These are well-trained guys. They were missing on purpose just to throw bullets there and cause chaos, and they are the ones that heightened the situation and had the state troopers take the kill shots for them.
Gee. I tell you something. I saw different videos, even slaughtering pigs and things like that. A pig, when they kill a pig, they slaughter a pig, he had more, let's say, clean death. It was really disgusting. And people, I invite everybody else to watch this video over and over. And even if you disagree with the stance on the occupation of the bandits or the cattle rights or the property rights, forget about everything. Even if you are on the other side of the fence, but honestly, for me, there are no sides. The only side should be justice here. The only judge is supposed to be, do we have still the basic due process, or we are living under complete tyranny that we have just somebody because as a badge, as a gun, is allowed to shoot at you anytime he wants or she wants. That's the reality. I mean, nobody should be facing that type of, I call it assassination. I really stand behind those words. That was an assassination. Okay, because any one of us in the civilian world, okay, if we had to defend ourselves or use deadly force, it must be a cause. It must be a justifiable cause. There was no cause. I mean, the man was getting out of the car, and by the way, they decided to shoot at the car before even he got out. I mean, we know that there is audio, there is video. I mean, there are proofs, I think, ballistic proof. I mean, the point is they were shooting at the car before even he got out. You confirm that?
Yeah. That's 100% confirmed through, it was Shauna Cox's cell phone footage, which also, by the way, Gary Hunt helped point this out. The cell phone footage that they took from Shauna Cox, they then released the cell phone footage. They released her personal property. Now, if she had that video on her cell phone and she were to offer that for sale to the public, to any news agency or something, that would have brought in a pretty penny for her, probably to get some decent representation.
Yeah.
Not that she didn't do a phenomenal job by herself during this last trial, but that could have been you know what I'm saying? A news agency probably would have paid upward of $100,000 or more to have that exact footage. But instead the government confiscated it, and then they released it without her own She had no say-so in it.
So sad. You know, they're
Just
called
more
private property.
Yeah,
That's
just more-
private property. That should have, at least have some sort of, you know, she risked her life. She was there, and she deserved every dollar she could, especially, as you said, facing the charges that she had to face. It would have been better to have a few extra dollars on your side. Lisa, this is amazing. More I think about it, and that's why I wanted to bring you back on, because we cannot forget. People say, okay, it's time to move on. No, this is time right now, more than ever, to clean this garbage, to completely pursue justice, okay? Not because Trump is elected, everything has to go back to sleep. I mean, we have to really now completely pursue this till the end. Because I know many people in these agencies may be decent Americans and they mean well, but unfortunately, whoever is giving the orders, I'm sorry, I tell you the word, not only they suck, they are traitors. And this is, of course, me speaking, just me, look at Zanna, so nothing about you, John, okay? That's my opinion. They have an agenda. They really knew that you had no any type of, let's say, animal instinct to kill anybody. They knew that a bunch of you guys, they were a bunch of farmers, and they wanted just to make a peaceful occupation. They knew all that. But to have to build it up, they had to overcharge just tax dollar. I mean, only God knows how much cost that operation in freaking Burns, Oregon, how many millions of dollars just to set up that show, you know, like they were probably, I don't even think those resources are available in Afghanistan or in Iraq right now for the people that, you know, supposedly they're out there. Okay, I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, I saw tanks.
Yeah, and how much more is it costing now that they're trying the remaining defendants?
Yeah.
These guys, the supposed leaders were all acquitted by a jury of 12.
Yeah.
So how can you possibly justify still bringing these people up on a conspiracy charge when this conspiracy was already disproven?
But, you know, first of all, my opinion, they try always to, there's an expression, correct me if I'm wrong, you know, you try to throw some meat on the wall, something's going to stick somehow. And more important, you know, they always feel that maybe somebody may be somehow falling down for a plea guilty. Because that's a human, you know, you have no resources, they have all the money in the world, and if they charge you, and more importantly, if they find you guilty, you're going to spend probably the rest of your life there for no crime, by the way. Nobody got harmed, correct me, I mean, nobody got killed, nobody got raped, you didn't rob any bank, am I right or wrong? There was no really any victim.
Never threatened anybody,
Yeah.
Yep, we never threatened anybody, it was all trumped up BS that was fed to the federal agents by the lying informants.
And another thing, you know, that's very disgusting for me. I said, people, you may believe or not that what they're doing is right or wrong. That's not the point. The point is due process. I know that for whatever I've been studying here, our Constitution, more important, our criminal system and our, you know, legal system, everybody deserves the chance to have at least to pay a bond, you know. I mean, you know, even rapists, you know, they have a chance to post a bail. Am I right? I mean, maybe an expensive bail.
How can they justify holding all these guys from the Nevada 2014 standoff? How can they justify them? There was the standoff, then they all went home, and they got on with their peaceful lives. They were assets to society, and, you know, productive members of society. Got on with their lives, raised their families and everything, and then 2 years later, you're going to lock them up and say they're too much of a threat to be out there?
Yeah.
I was very lucky and fortunate to get pre-trial release and be able to see my family again. I just was blessed with a great attorney. I got very lucky.
Wow. And this is amazing. You make a very good point. I mean, 2 years after, if they were so dangerous to society, why they even let them out for 2 years and be among us? I mean, this is insane. This is, for me, just a political revenge and there's a political assassination. That's what they're trying to do. I mean, there are a lot of good people that I know personally. I mean, come on. I mean, they are family people. You destroy their life. You destroy their business. You destroy their jobs. You destroy their homes. Many people lost their homes for this. This is not a game. And that's what I'm trying to say to the listeners out there. Don't just scroll your shoulders, say they should have not gone there. You know, how dare you, garbage. I had one day, I was talking to somebody, and we were talking about this, and the first thing out of his mouth say, oh, you know what, they got what they deserve. They should have not gone there, even if they were right. They should have not. You know what? I wasn't born here. I say MF, and I got really mad. Normally, I don't get mad. But I tell you, you are an insult to our founding fathers, to all the people before us, that they did what they did. If it was for you, we were still under the English crown. piece of crap, I told him. Go away from my face. That's the point. Seriously, this is disgusting.
Yeah.
This is disgusting. If there was any of you that I knew you were committing a violent crime or any crime, that means you're endangering somebody else, okay? You don't need to... I would say the first to throw a rock at all of you. And I've been there since the Bundys. I met many of you, and I know what was about this one. This is not about saving the turtles. This is not about the grazing fees. This is not about the birds. This is not about the freaking bill. This is about complete tyranny. It's an agenda to confiscate all our public land for their globalist communist agenda. That's the bottom line. And everybody who refused to bow down, people like you, people even like me, even if I didn't go there, just because I'm talking about this, we are enemies. Enemies of the global government. Simple as that. Now, what do you think about Trump? Do you think we have a chance to at least clear a little bit this garbage, or it's going to be back to business like usual?
I think he's going to... I'm still very hopeful that a lot of good things come from it. We have Jerry DeLamas, who was pretty much the head of Veterans for Trump for the state of New Hampshire, and he's being held right now without bail for the 2014 standoff. His wife, she's a representative there in New Hampshire. So, I'm hoping that people are shouting that we got Mr. Trump's ear, and as soon as he gets in office, he can just do away with all this. Jeff Sessions is going to be the new attorney general, and they're going to be the new ones calling the shots. So it's actually going to be Trump's administration that's prosecuting us if he allows them to go through. So people do need to get vocal, and I just hope that I don't think Mr. Trump has to answer to anybody, and so he's able to change his statements if he wants to about certain things. I saw an interview with Edward Snowden, who I think is a patriot.
Yes.
People say, he's a traitor and stuff, but no, he's not.
Yeah.
He did what was right, and he made it very clear. So they asked him, they said, Mr. Snowden, Trump called you a traitor and stuff. They were taking quotes from Trump, like back when Snowden was first outed, and Trump talking in the heat of the moment,
Yeah.
And so, Mr. Snowden is sitting there saying, well, I wonder when it was that Mr. Trump thinks America was great.
Yeah.
Was it when we were fighting the Brits? When we were fighting for our freedom? Was it when we were giving women their rights? Was it when we were giving blacks rights and equality for all? When exactly can we pinpoint when America was great? Because the very birth of our nation was founded from an act of treason. And so, and Edward Snowden said another great quote in there. He said, it needs to be very clear to people that legal and illegal is not a substitute for right and wrong.
Yes.
There's bad laws out there.
Yes.
And
it is very true. It's very true. That's why I say, please, out there, Americans, I don't care which party, I don't care whatever you think. If you believe still we are this is a battle between what is just and what is unjust, between good and evil. Simple as that. It's not anymore about left and right. It's about the truth and the lies and the deception they try to use to keep us against each other. Because today could be us, that we believe in property rights. Tomorrow could be you, that you believe in some other rights. The point is everybody, first of all, should be treated as an American, as a human being with some rights, due process. Unfortunately, we are living already under National Defense Authorization Act, that with a clause of indefinite detention, that even if they don't want to tell you, but for me, what they're doing to you guys, that they keep you without bail in jail, that's pretty much part of this law that Obama signed with Congress just a couple years ago, 3 years ago or so. The point is they can get away now to keep you indefinitely just because they suspect you to be a terrorist. They don't tell you this in the media, but that's the fact. Never in our Constitution and basic legal, even in our Bill of Rights, in a legal system, they kept you like that when there is no even a real threat to society and no crime. I mean, seriously. Now, how did you get so lucky, seriously, that you are not at least waiting in jail for trial like everybody else?
I just think, I had they had used up all the public defenders, my co-defendants, and so they had to outsource to an attorney who has her own private practice. So I got an attorney who's got her own private practice. She just does, does the public defender. She takes on public cases from time to time. So I just got really lucky, and she fought tooth and nail for me to get out.
Wow.
And because it's easier for an attorney to work with their client when their client is out of being behind bars. So I just got blessed and lucky, and it's I just tell people too, the Bible tells us multiple times in there, Matthew, Mark, John, and everything, about love your neighbor as yourself. And so the Hammonds, they were my neighbor. And I don't need to wait for the government to infringe on the Constitution in my own backyard before I act on it. Even though they lived all the way up in Oregon, they were my neighbor. They were my fellow countrymen. And so that's why I felt obligated to go and be as vocal as I could for this family that was being oppressed.
Can I ask you, can we say the name of the lawyer? I mean, since it's public, because, let's give credit to what credit is due, and I hope we can maybe share this information with the people in need, and maybe she can get some extra business. Can we give her name out?
Her name's Terry Wood, and she runs a practice in Eugene, Oregon. She's a phenomenal attorney, and she's got a great record, and people can read up on her. She fights tooth and nail, and she made it very clear to me that even though I am one of her, appointed cases, and I'm not a private client that just came in there with a bag full of cash. She said she fights for all of her clients equally. Wow. She made that very clear to me. So
That's great. I'm glad to hear that. Now, in some details, because when I was listening to the news, and I was really worried, I must tell you, when I knew that there was a warrant for you, I was afraid they were going to set you up, because they say, they got already the photo there on their computer. Mr. Jon Ritzheimer, Marine, veteran, gunholic, he hates Islam, and is a very, they try to do like Rambo story, okay? Very dangerous.
Yeah.
Probably they put more effort into you than going after, people with ISIS. That, by the way, Obama administration funded. That's another story. Anyway, so I really was worried they were going to set you up and shoot you in the middle of a street. How did they, in a few minutes or a few seconds, how did the story go through? I mean, you got the news from somebody, you went in, how did
okay, so the cops here in Peoria, Arizona, they know me really well from my outspokenness against Islam, and ISIS has tweeted my address in the past. I've even had KKK send threats my way.
Great.
So I've spoken with cops. I'm no stranger to them, and so they had my contact information and what have you. However, like I said, I didn't tell anybody I was coming home. I shut my phones off and hid everything. I pulled out enough cash from an ATM to where I wouldn't have to be using my credit debit cards coming down. I just wanted to come down and have some private time with my family,
Yeah.
But since the informant knew, that's how they knew that I was back home in Arizona. And so I get a phone call from the police department, and they said, John, they got a warrant for you. And I said, okay, well, what's the charge? And they told me the conspiracy charge, and I go and look it up, and I'm like, okay, maximum 6 years, and that means it's one-time offense and stuff, and I didn't do this, so what am I going to do? And it's not like I'm facing life or anything like that at the moment. And so I asked them, I said, can I spend the night with my family, take my kids to school in the morning, and then I'll turn myself in? And he said, no, the FBI's up here, and they're ready for you. We got you. Yeah, they pretty much had they were all staged around my house already.
Oh my God, yes, go to school. No, don't do that. Probably they would have freaking get you out of the door when you walk the door in the morning. So how it ended up?
Well, I said, okay, well, can I have an hour with my family, and then I'll turn myself in?
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, I'll give you an hour.
Okay.
So I had an hour, And then I was trying to get some of my affairs in order, and they ended up giving me, a little bit more time, like 5 or 10 minutes more, just while I was getting some affairs in order. And then we drove. The police station's not even a mile from my house.
Yeah.
We drove up the road, and FBI was waiting there, and it was kind of a weird procedure. And my kids were with me in the van. I was able to kiss all them goodbye. And
wow.
They didn't cuff me until my wife and kids drove away. Then they cuffed me, and it was a weird, like, the Peoria PD arrested me, and then they kind of like handed me over to FBI. It was a really weird handoff. I don't know if it was for legal reasons or something.
Interesting.
And so then they took me to the FBI building down here in Deer Valley Airport, and they tried to interrogate me, and luckily I'm smart enough to where I just kept saying, I want my attorney.
Good.
I want my attorney.
Good.
And they're pressing me for info, though, like, John, this is your time to get your side of the story out, and yada, yada. But that is the worst absolute thing anybody could ever do, is to talk. It will never, ever, ever benefit you by talking to them. They are there for one reason and one reason only. They could be as friendly as they want. They can give you candy bars and sodas and everything there in the interrogation room, but they are there for one reason, and that is to build a case.
Yeah.
You can sit there and tell them I'm not guilty until you're blue in the face, but that's not going to be admitted. It's going to any other little details will be spun and used against you, and that's exactly what. Even though I didn't talk to them, they still coordinated with all the local cops here, and all these local cops even still stabbed me in the back, kind of thing. Yeah. Not that I did anything wrong, but it just showed how much of a profile they've been building up on me when it came time for my release hearing, and they were just throwing all the dirt they could to try to keep me behind bars.
Yes, try to create an image of you that you are a violent element, an extremist element, and that's really exactly what they're trying to do. And at least I tell you, I am grateful to God that I'm here in this moment in America because of people like you. Seriously. Because I see as much, sometimes I may not agree with what you did. I would have not gone to burn or whatever, because I don't think it would be the strategic thing to do. But guess what? I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of the Bundys. I'm proud of every other human beings out there that stood up, opened their mouth, and weren't afraid to expose these criminals. That's the bottom line. And that's all I want to tell you. But also I want to say something. I want you to say the last words, a message to these people on the government payrolls. Normally they call themselves patriots. Some of them, they are also veterans, and they took an oath to defend our Constitution and Bill of Rights against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And right now, as you were pointing out, they were part of this setup, because that's the truth. It's been a setup. The only element that they were trying to paint as violent was them. I mean, Mr. Fabio Minoggio, Killman. I mean, he's the guy who went up there training the guy. The guy even they were just there. He goes there now as a trainer. I saw the video. It's pathetic. And I know Fabio very well. And one day we will talk more and I talk already about Fabio. By the way, Fabio, I know you listen to the show. You got my cell phone. Call me. Come on the show. Come on. I want to hear your story. Now, I'll give you the floor anytime you need, a couple minutes, 3 minutes, whatever, a message to the infiltrators, to the Fabio Minoggio, to the McConnell, whatever you want to say, you got the floor. Just please keep FCC language. That's it. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I've told Mark McConnell to his face already. I forgive you. I know that you played a role and helped set up the ambush that killed my friend LaVoy Finicum, and you've been paid an extensive amount of money. But to all of the informants, as I've said to Mark McConnell to his own face, I forgive you. I want absolutely nothing to do with you, and I don't want you to be anywhere in my life or near me or my family. But I forgive you because my God tells me, how can I expect to be forgiven for all of my sins if I'm not able to forgive? So from the bottom of my heart, I forgive you all, and I just hope that you do what's right from here on out. And you've sold out, some of your fellow countrymen, but there's plenty of people out there that have committed horrible sins as well, and trespassed against others. And I'm going to pray for you all, and I hope the best for everyone, and that we can all try to unify this country.
I want to thank you, Jon, again. And please, listeners, when you listen to this interview on the air, also go to lovegunsfreedom.com. There's going to be a YouTube, and I wish you can share this information to everybody. We must wake up every American out there, what they're doing and what they've done to these our fellow Americans. Do not go away. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. Thank you very much, Jon, and please keep me updated, okay, with any news.
All right, Luca, thanks for having me. And I also want to do a quick shout-out to have people go read the Burns Chronicles, and you will see all the informants, more and more are being exposed daily. Right there at the Burns Chronicles, Outpost of Freedom, written by Gary Hunt.
Perfect.
So, thanks, Luca.
I will post the link. Okay, guys, don't go away. Ready for our number 2, but I have a little break. And more important, I would like to share a couple extra news before we go to our number 2. Do not go away. In this world where everything seems to be going sideways, when you need things set straight, Zanna Coffee Straight Shot Espresso. Start your day with a bang. The best organic and GMO-free coffee beans from around the world to amplify your senses and enhance love for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Zanna Coffee brings you happiness in every cup. Fair trade, certified, sustainable, organic coffee. That means we do not use slaves. Free Zanna songs with every coffee bag. Find Zanna Coffee at www.zannacoffee.com www.zannacoffee.com. Don't be cheap, you deserve the best. Get Zanna Coffee at www.zannacoffee.com. And that was Jon Ritzheimer. By the way, I really mean it when I said all the people that we've been naming, like for example, Fabio Minoggio, Killman, the informant for the federal government, also was supposed to be my friend, or used to be my friend, and of course McConnell, and everybody else out there that Jon Ritzheimer named or claimed to be informant for the federal government. I really would like to have you on the show. And I'm not trying to set any type of ambush, let's say interview. You have the microphone. There is no censorship. I'll let you talk. I may ask you some questions, of course, but I want to know your side of the story. Please, I really beg you. And that's it. Simple as that. This show is open to everybody. And that's why we can do this type of format, because we have freedom. We have freedom of speech. I would like to remind you, of course, if you want to support the show, first of all, support K-Talks, because it's broadcasting this show, and I appreciate it. I understand the topics that I touch here. Not many other radio stations would ever even allow it. Seriously. And also, I really appreciate your personal support, because this is an independent show. I broadcast it from my own location. I produce it. And as I said, this is for me an act of love at the end. I do many other things. I have no ambitions to become a radio guy. Honestly, I don't even think I have the skills. I barely can speak English sometimes. But my point is, I'm just trying to offer a service to have a platform where we can talk about news that normally you would have not allowed to even listen or talk anywhere else on the airwaves. That's the idea. So if you want to support the show, you heard, zannacoffee.com. And, zannacoffee.com, the best organic coffee, at least, in my opinion, that you really can enjoy, appreciate. And also, while you're doing that, you can support the show while you're drinking it and buying it. You can go to zannacoffee.com. You can get 3 different blends. One is the straight shot espresso. That, by the way, it is not just for espresso, but you can also grind it in different ways. But it's one of the most, probably, I think, the most sold out there that we have. So I'm very proud of that. And then, of course, there is 1776, organic coffee to brew a revolution. Then, of course, there is a Route 66 coffee. My gosh, I need another coffee today. Anyway, so whatever, I appreciate your help. Now, things are happening. The next few weeks we will know about the final stage of Trump becoming our president, taking completely office. And I have a lot of hope, I must tell you. I have a lot of hope about Trump. Even being skeptical, I'm still skeptical sometimes. That's fine. We got to be skeptical about everybody. There are things I agree, some things I don't agree. But I heard, for example, that what's happening right now, there is a bill, for example, sponsored by Rand Paul, Senator Rand Paul, about auditing the Fed. I mean, the private Federal Reserve, their fraud. Yes, the Federal Reserve, their fraud, okay? That this is so important because Donald Trump seems to endorse this bill. That's huge. That's very huge. Why is so important? Because first of all, we must know what's going on. This is supposed to be our money. And by the way, they're charging us the interest for every dollar they print or they create out of thin air. And the problem is that we are not allowed to even know what they're doing, how they're sharing this money. We know that the last, a few years ago, they told us, former Chairman Bernanke said, we don't have to give you any information unless we want to. These people, they think they're like kings and lords, and that's pretty much what they are. The real government is not our elected government, but technically who creates currency dictates the policy, because they can destroy government or they can somehow prop it up like they've been propping it up the last probably 20 years. Especially now with the national debt that we have. It's all an illusion. Don't forget, every dollar that they print is a dollar based on debt. We're supposed to print our own money as a country, not delegate that power to a federal private reserve. I mean, who made them gods? Seriously, we did. I mean, not did, by 1913, the Federal Reserve Act. That was the first real stub in the heart of our republic, in my opinion. Anyway, that's another little story, that is not little sad. It's very sad when you see that video of that poor young man in Chicago surrounded and beaten up by 4 bastards, and I don't want to offend the bastards. These people, they are completely subhumans. I don't care they are black or white, but the fact they are white is a fact. These people, they are completely evil. Okay, completely tied up this guy, cutting him and torture him for hours, and then live broadcasting this live on the internet, on Facebook. I mean, this is what you really understand. There is evil out there. That's why I want you armed. Law-abiding people with arms, with weapons, means that we have an opportunity to defend good against evil. That's what it is about. So please don't go away. Ready for our number 2. We will talk now about the coming class, the concealed weapon carry class in Kingman, Arizona. And then there is another one great in Havasu City coming next week. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna, and I appreciate your help, I appreciate your support, and thank you very much. Don't go away. Now we are ready for our number 2.
It is time. Get your Arizona Concealed Carry Permit now with Arizona Concealed Carry Permit by Zanna Enterprises, LLC. Become a more responsible and educated gun owner. Carry legally concealed in 35 states. Carry permitted in restaurants where alcohol is served. Learn where and how you can legally carry a firearm in Arizona. Learn where you can use deadly force. Where can you display your gun or not for self-defense? Learn how to deal with law enforcement while carrying a firearm. Learn how to be aware of your surroundings and how to avoid a confrontation. Buy your gun without waiting for a background check. Get your Arizona Concealed Carry Permit now. Go to www.azccw.us. Go to www.azccw.us.